Hello and welcome to things I find interesting that happened today in the past, aka T.I.F.I.T.H.T, I.T.P. This show is all about the events that occurred today in years past, both recognized by actual historians, but mainly things I personally find intriguing enough for me to bring to you. The source of this information comes from the smart device application on this day, the icon of which is shown as cutoff prevention at the beginning and end of each episode. The music in the background is Halcyon by JJD, which I found on the YouTube channel No Copyright Sounds, aka NCS. For links to the app, music, and anything else potentially interesting, check the underbar! Let's get this show started, shall we? Today is Thursday, aka Friday, April 29th, 2016. In 2015, a baseball game between the Baltimore Orioles and the Chicago White Sox set the all-time low attendance record in the history of the game, with a grand total of 0 due to the stadium being officially closed to the public due to the 2015 Baltimore protests. Looks like we are about to say hasta la vista to baseball since it's on its last inning. Time for Blends Ball! In 2005, Syria completed withdrawal from Lebanon, ending 29 years of occupation. In 2004, Oldsmobile built its final car, ending 107 years of production. In 2004, Dick Cheney and George W. Bush testified before the 9/11 Commission in a closed, unrecorded hearing in the Oval Office. How convenient. In 1997, the Chemical Weapons Convention of 1993 entered into force, outlawing the production, stockpiling, and use of chemical weapons by its signatories. In 1992, riots started in Los Angeles, California following the acquittal of police officers charged with excessive force in the beating of Rodney King. Over the next 3 days, 53 people will die and hundreds of buildings will be destroyed. In 1986, United States and European spy satellites captured the ruins of the 4th reactor at the Chernobyl power plant. Also in 1986, a fire at the Central Library of the City of Los Angeles damaged or destroyed 400,000 books and other items. In 1975, during the Vietnam conflict, the North Vietnamese Army completed its capture of all parts of South Vietnamese-held Tuong Sea Islands. Also in 1975, and also during the Vietnam conflict, Operation Frequent Wind occurred, in which the U.S. began to evacuate U.S. citizens from Saigon before an expected North Vietnamese takeover. United States involvement in the conflict came to an end. In 1970, and also during the Vietnam conflict, U.S. and South Vietnamese forces invaded Cambodia to hunt Viet Cong. In 1968, the controversial musical Hair, a product of the hippie counterculture and sexual revolution of the 1960s, opened at the Biltmore Theater on Broadway, with its songs becoming anthems of the anti-Vietnam conflict movement. In 1967, after refusing induction into the United States Army due to religious reasons the day prior, Muhammad Ali was stripped of his boxing title. How unbelievably ignorant and childish of the United States government. But then again, none of us expect any better, really. In 1953, the first U.S. experimental 3D television broadcast showed an episode of Space Patrol on Los Angeles APD affiliate KECA-TV. In 1951, Tibetan delegates to the Central People's Government arrived in Beijing and drafted a 17-point agreement for Chinese sovereignty and Tibetan autonomy. In 1946, the International Military Tribunal for the Far East convened and indicted former Prime Minister of Japan Hideki Tojo and 28 former Japanese leaders of war crimes. In 1945, Adolf Hitler married his longtime partner Eva Braun in his Führerbunker and designated Admiral Karl Donitz as his successor. Both Hitler and Braun allegedly committed suicide the next day. Also in 1945, during World War II, the German army in Italy unconditionally surrendered to the Allies. In 1944, also during World War II, British agent Nancy Wake, a leading figure in the French resistance and the Gestapo's most wanted person, parachuted back into France to become a liaison between London and the local Macri group. In 1910, the Parliament of the United Kingdom passed the People's Budget, the first budget in British history with the expressed intent of redistributing wealth among the British public. In 1882, the electromotive, the forerunner of the... Frickin' phone is ringing all day today. Who's calling? Oh, Dad. Hey, Pop! In 1882, the electromotive, the forerunner of the trolleybus, was tested by Ernst Werner von Siemens in Berlin. In 1861, during the American Civil War, Maryland's House of Delegates voted not to secede from the Union. In 1770, James Cook arrived and named Botany Bay, Australia. And in 1429, Jean d'Arc arrived to relieve the siege of Orleans. First, Travis Killian, 1987, Lee Dong-gook, 1979, Jerry Seinfeld, 1954, Dale Earnhardt, 1951, Jacob Rothschild, 1936. Hey, even Satan has a birthday. Willie Nelson, 1933, Dorothy Manley, 1927, William Randolph Hearst, 1863. Deaths, Alfred Hitchcock, 1980, The O'Reilly, 1916. And that concludes T.I.F.I.T.H.T. Once again, check the underbar for any links you may be interested in. For your dose of past events daily, I am the Aoneta, and you are you. Hasta la vista, baby.